So I have owned this 2023 G80 M3 for over 2 years now, and it feels like every day I drive it, I learned something new. So today, I'm gonna share with you guys some of those things that I've learned. Some of these might be hidden features, they might be cool features, or things that just aren't commonly talked about in these cars. So whether you own one of these cars or you don't, you might learn something or just find something interesting. So with that said, we're gonna jump right into it. And the first thing is actually gonna be on my phone. So some of this stuff is gonna be specific to this M3. Some of it is gonna apply to other BMWs or other cars. Like this one is actually usable on my X5 as well. So if we go over here, we can select my M3, and you guys can see, you can kind of control the M3 through this app. So I'll throw up a screen share so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing right now, but on this app, you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. You can lock and unlock your car, you can turn on the lights, you can sound the horn for some reason, but the more usable features, there's two specifically that I wanna show you guys, is one, the gas mileage or the gas percentage. So you can literally see how many miles you have left until empty, what percentage of gas you have. The other really cool thing is the car can actually use its cameras to essentially show you what's going around. So if I do update view, it'll take a second to do this. Now, I use this a lot because if I park somewhere and I'm wondering, did someone park too closely to me? Or, you know, is there anybody around me at all? Or if, you know, someone's borrowing the car and you wanna see exactly where they dropped it off. So it does take a minute to load, but you guys can see right on my phone, you can see exactly where I am. I wonder if I'm gonna be on it. I'm not, that's interesting. Either way, you can see exactly where the car is. It's currently in my courtyard. So again, a pretty cool feature, one that I use all the time. Then the third last and cool feature with these phones is you can actually use these phones as a digital key. So you have to make sure it's all configured on your phone, but once it is, you just walk up to your car, I think you just put it, oh, there it goes. Put it right to your handle, the car will unlock, and then to start up the car, you take your phone, you put it in the wireless tray over there, and you can start it up. This is very nice, especially for someone like me, because my main set of keys has one set of key for all my cars, so it's really bulky. Sometimes when I want to make a quick run or something, I don't even take my keys. I just use my phone to unlock the car and drive it. So super helpful feature. If you guys don't want to have a smartphone for some reason, or if you want an alternative, there's something very similar, and that's these cards right over here. This literally operates the same exact way that your phone would, so you can leave this in your wallet and then just use the car that way. Again, I use my phone, so I don't really use this like ever, but it's cool. So the more you know. All right, I wanna go into another really cool feature that's actually very, very helpful, at least I think. So like I was saying, this car has 360 cameras. So other than just using it to take pictures of your car, you can use it as a dash camera. So to access it, you wanna go into your apps. It's called iDrive or Drive Recorder. So you press on the app right over there. You wanna make sure it's configured and you set it up. The cool thing about this is it records the previous and the next 20 seconds. So whenever you start a recording, it'll record the 20 seconds that were before and then the next 20 seconds. Once you do it, you guys can see here, I was testing it out. So here's a couple recordings, but here's one that I was driving. So check this out. You can get the front angle, the rear, the sides, literally every angle. And again, it captures 40 seconds, so the first 20 and the second 20. The other really cool thing is, and you have to make sure this is configured in the settings, is you can make it like motion activated. So God forbid you get into an accident and the car senses that it was in an accident, it'll actually start the recording. But if it doesn't for some reason, or let's say you're in an incident where you weren't necessarily involved in an accident, maybe someone threw something at your car, I don't know, God forbid this happens, but if you're in a situation like that and it doesn't automatically record, you can start recording yourself. Now, you don't have to go right into the app itself. There's a shortcut. So if you come right over here, you'll see there's a camera button. Normally, if you press it once, it'll open up your camera if it wants to work here. Maybe because the car isn't on. Okay, car on. Now let's press on the button. There it goes. So it brings up the rear camera, right? Now let's go back home. If you press and hold it, it'll start a recording. Again, you guys can see it recorded the previous 20 seconds and the next 20 seconds. So when you hit that button, it already recorded the 20 seconds before when you hit that button. I'm gonna tell you guys a few features today, but this is one of the best ones, I think, because it has a legitimate functional use to it, and you wouldn't have known about it unless you were told about it, because it actually wouldn't be on by default. You have to go in and like agree to some agreement, basically, that you're gonna be recording and stuff like that. So you have to make sure you configure it to even be able to use it. The next features I wanna show you guys have to do with the interior again, and these ones might be obvious, but they're still cool. All right, so obviously this is gonna vary a little bit depending on what year M3 you have, because there's like 3 different infotainment systems and dashes you can get in these cars depending on the year. But mine looks like this, right? Let's turn the car on one more time so I can better show you guys. And then also for audio's sake, we're actually going to close the valves, which by the way, this isn't a hidden feature, this is an aftermarket thing. Anyways, the point is, this is what my dash looks like. Pretty cool, pretty basic though. You guys probably knew this already, but if you go into M mode, if you press that button, you have 3 options. You can go from road, which is what we're currently in, to sport, and you guys will see your whole dash changes, which is pretty freaking cool. Now, it looks a little more sporty, it's a little more focused on your speed, your gear, and your RPMs, but overall, I think it looks better. Keep in mind, this does reduce your driving assistance controls, so I think blind spot monitoring, collision, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. It will give you a disclaimer when you press it. You have one more though, track, which if you press on it, is essentially the same thing as sport, except it's going to shut this screen off. And that way, you have no distractions while you're driving, hopefully on the track and not on the streets. Again, this one might be obvious to a lot of people. I know, I get it, but it's a feature I forget about all the time. I always tell myself when I do a POV video, I want the cooler screen, but I just forget about it. I wish there was a way to configure it with your M1 and M2 buttons. It would be really cool if you can go into M1 and then it just like default goes into sport. If you put into M2, maybe it goes into track. I don't know, maybe that's something we can do with coding. All right, so for this next one, I wanna go back into road and I wanna show you guys something pretty cool. So obviously we have this screen right over here. Did you guys know you can actually change what's on it? So if you press on this menu button, you have a whole bunch of different things to select from, like content to show in the middle of the screen. So you can use like your different modes, you can use a map, you can do like a direction, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. So I usually use the map, the lap timer, that one's really cool. I usually do the map or my MPG. So you have a couple, or the sports display, that's a really cool one too. I actually like that one. So those are probably my top 3 favorite ones, but you do have a few options. You can do your music too, I guess that's also a good one. But yeah, just some stuff you can customize, so while you're driving, you have that information easily accessible in the center of your screen. Now, right next to it, you have like your speaker button right over here, right? If you press on it once, you have the Hello BMW thing, right? So let's see if it'll open up for us. Hey BMW, open up the heads-up display settings. Hopefully this works and doesn't make me look like an idiot. There it goes. So this is probably one that's obvious, but did you guys know, other than using it for like your BMW system, if you press and hold it, you can actually open up Siri if you're connected to Apple CarPlay. I'm currently not connected to Apple CarPlay, so it's not gonna work. But if you wanna be able to access your phone's voice thing, as opposed to pressing it once, which will bring up the BMW specific one. All right, since we're in the interior, let's just keep on going to interior things. So obviously you guys know we have the M1, M2 buttons. Everyone knows you can configure it by going up to setup, and you can change a whole bunch of stuff. One being your transmission. But did you guys know there's actually a specific button on your transmission shifter itself to adjust the aggressiveness? So very interesting. I don't know why BMW did that. You have it in there, so why do you need a physical button for it? I don't know, but regardless, it's cool. I will never complain about physical buttons. So yeah, just again, more that you know. I feel like we talked so much about like digital things, buttons and stuff like that. I want to show you guys something that's physical, that's really cool. So outside the car, this is something I didn't know until very recently. You have some additional air ducts. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to get a view of it without the car being like lifted and the wheel taken off, but right behind the wheel, there's some additional ducting that you guys can actually take off, which flows in from somewhere over there. That ducting is specific to help your brakes cool down if you're driving on the track. So if you guys are gonna drive this car very hard, especially on the track, remove that extra ducting, which I don't know if we can actually maybe see it over here. Yeah, there it is. I'm not sure if you guys are gonna be able to see that, but it's in there, just trust me. As I'm editing this video while I'm on vacation, I remembered I forgot something. So if you guys see, you have an extra little headrest on your bucket seats. Now this obviously applies only to the cars with bucket seats. If you see, there's 2 screws right underneath here. With those 2 screws, you can quickly release this headrest, so that way you can free up some more room if you're tracking the car with a helmet. So just another cool feature that, yeah, you can't do right away. It's a little more work, but just like the brake ducts, it's another cool thing if you're gonna track the car. Another fun fact about these cars, if you have the carbon buckets, everyone knows them to be like uncomfortable and, you know, for skinnier people. Did you guys know these bolsters are actually adjustable just like any other BMW seat? You have a button right over here where you can tighten and loosen the bolsters. So if you are a bigger person, you can make them wider. If you're skinnier, you can make them tighter. So despite these being race seats, they still have that luxury feature. Again, the more you know. All right, let's get into something completely different, and that's the trunk. So this car has the executive package. That means it has a whole like hydraulic trunk thing. So because you have this whole hydraulic system, you have buttons here to close your trunk, but you have two. So this one will close your trunk and it'll just leave the car as is, like unlocked. This one will close it and lock it. So if you're grabbing stuff and you're done with the car, just one button, it'll close it and then lock the car. Another cool feature about the trunk, by the way, is this trunk actually has a pass-through. So if you guys are into skiing, snowboarding, or something like that, you can actually come over here, press on this button, and drop this down. So that way you have a whole pass-through. I actually literally discovered this in a recent video of mine, and I had no idea. I actually do snowboard occasionally. I'm learning. So this is a really cool feature. So if you guys just want a one-car solution, and you're a snowboarder, or you're a skier, or maybe even a golfer, you want to put some golf clubs, you have that pass-through, which is super handy and super helpful, but it doesn't have cup holders in the rear. Like even my old 3 Series used to have cup holders that drop down in the rear seats. This one doesn't have that. So again, the more you know. All right, we're gonna cover one more feature that, again, isn't that hidden, but if you're new to BMWs or these cars, you probably didn't know. So if you press and hold your unlock button, you'll be able to open up your windows from a distance. So I don't know, maybe you have kids or a dog or something inside, you want to use that feature. One feature I use all the time is closing the windows with the lock button. There's been so many times where I'll leave the car and I'll forget that the windows are still open. So rather than going back to the car, putting it into accessory mode or turning it on and closing the windows, take your remote, press and hold the lock button, give it a second. That one comes in handy so many times. So again, if you didn't know that existed, you wouldn't know. Another fun thing is if you didn't know this existed, you can remote start your car. So take your lock button, press it 3 times. Again, give it a second. The car will turn on. If you want to turn it off, same button. There it goes. Also another handy feature. All right guys, I can go all day telling you cool features and things you can do with these cars, but I tried to focus on the things that are maybe not as obvious. Again, I know some of these aren't hidden per se, but if you're new to BMWs, if you're new to these cars, you probably didn't know. So I wanted to focus on those. There's still a whole bunch of other cool features that are very obvious, like the M1 and M2 buttons. Everyone knows about those. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I probably didn't include in this video, but if you guys have any other cool features that you enjoy on these cars, just let everybody else know, let me know, and then let whoever else is watching this video who's currently reading the comments, let them know as well. So drop any cool or hidden features you know about these cars down in the comments below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, hopefully you learned something new. Some of this stuff, I kid you not, I literally learned like less than a week ago, like the pass-through in the trunk. Literally found out in a video last week. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
If you don't listen that much, some of y'all don't listen at all. The same they be pushing your butt.